Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, April 4th, 2014. Well, there may not be a shooting war between the U.S. and Russia right now, but as far as the financial war, it is game on. And the most recent sign there's a financial war going on is this little deal between Iran and Russia. You know, Iran is going to produce oil and give it to Russia and trade it for goods. Oil for goods. You getting that? No dollars are changing hands. And now, this is one of my commenters on the site came up and said, why would the #1 oil producer in the world want to get more oil from a country like Iran? Could it be that they might want to sell this oil in non-dollar currencies on the world market to further hurt the dollar's ability to be the world's reserve currency, the petrodollar? You know, Iran's portion of this is no small amount. It's 500,000 barrels a day. It's a $20 billion deal. And this is just another little piece of dollar negative news. Then you have the Russian parliament, the Russian Dumas, you know, saying that, you know, the lawmakers openly trashing the dollar, openly saying that we should stop trading our oil and natural gas in dollars, period, at the end. We should be using rubles or some other currency than the U.S. dollar. They call the dollar, quote, dirty, end quote. They call the dollar, quote, stained with blood, end quote. And they want to completely stop using the dollar in trade. That's another piece of dollar negative news. Couple that with the deals they've had with yuan, with China, with the yuan and ruble trade in oil and natural gas and whatever. The most recent deal they're working on between India and Russia, where, you know, Russia's just going to take rupee. India doesn't have to trade out of their rupee and buy dollars and go buy Russian oil. Russia says, hey, we'll just do rupee, ruble. It's okay. It's fine. Hey, what's after that? Is the European Union going to start doing that with the euro? They're just going to start buying oil and natural gas directly from Russia? Oh, totally? And completely bypass the dollar? How about the UK? They got a recent natural gas deal. They're just going to use their pound sterling. It'd be a big discount to them. They have to cash out of dollars. This is all dollar negative news. Even New Zealand, one of my commenters, Colin from New Zealand, said, hey, you know, they just signed a yuan, you know, New Zealand deal, I guess it's a Kiwi. You know, they signed a deal to, you know, use yuan in trade with New Zealand. That's the 6th country to do so. This is what is going to be the straw that breaks the dollar camel's back? On top of that, the president, you know, made sure that he swung on down to Saudi Arabia when he was overseas to visit the folks there. Saudi Arabia said that the Obama administration, quote, stabbed them in the back over Syria. Stabbed them in the back over Syria. We didn't do enough in Syria. We didn't start a world war. That's to the president's credit on that one, to bypass that one. But now there's talk of the president who has not wanted to give, you know, shoulder-held missiles, they're called man-pads, to the rebels, which, according to foreign press, as many as half are Al-Qaeda. Giving them shoulder-held missiles? Wow, what could go wrong? Think that after this thing with Syria is over, or during it's over, maybe they might use these shoulder-held man-pads against our allies, against the U.S., against commercial airliners, against all kinds of targets that fly, not just the Assad regime dropping barrel bombs on them. And now they're contemplating giving the shoulder-held missiles to the the Syrian rebels. There's plenty of sin on the other side, too. You know, Hafiz Assad, or Bashar Assad is no prince. That's his dad, Hafiz. You know, Bashar Assad's no prince. I mean, there's, what, 150, 60,000 people have died in the civil war? You know, the Hezbollah backs the Assad regime. That's a known terror group. Things are heating up on the financial front, and is the United States so desperate to keep Saudi Arabia selling its oil only in dollars? Are they that desperate to give this kind of weaponry to a group that's half controlled by Al-Qaeda? Even if it's just partial. I mean, even John Kerry said, oh, it's only 20, 25%. Really, 1 in 4 Al-Qaeda? Is the United States that desperate to keep the petrodollar alive? There are lots of dollar negative and petrodollar negative news out there. That's for sure. As far as a real war between NATO, which is mostly the U.S., and Russia, well, they've both been building up their military sources. Now, it was widely reported that up to 100,000 Russian troops were on the Ukraine border. Well, yeah, that was blown out of proportion. Now we find out it's 40,000 Russian troops. They backed a few hundred off, but then you have NATO on the other side, asking Ukraine to, hey, it's a good idea if we have war games in the Ukraine. That's going to settle things down. We can actually have U.S. troops right across the border from Russian troops. Again, what could go wrong? And then on top of that, in other Eastern European countries, that NATO has basically been saying that it's going to increase its help and military help to Eastern European countries. Now, Russia comes out and says, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. This is unreasonable. What's up with this escalation here? This is something that you guys signed a treaty with us, said you wouldn't do. Help, with the, militarily arm Eastern European countries, on our border. None of this is a path towards peace, either the financial war or the possible, and there is a financial war going on, or the possible real metal-to-metal contact war that could be on the horizon. Things may also start heating up in the Middle East again. They were working out some peace deal. The Israelis and Palestinians had this prisoner release program. There have been 3 batches of prisoners released, and all of a sudden, boom, the Israelis stopped releasing these prisoners, some of which did some pretty awful things to Jews in Israel. And the Israelis said, hey, listen, we said we'd have a prisoner, we'd release some of these prisoners, but there's been no real meaningful progress in negotiations since, November of last year, so nothing's happening. Meanwhile, Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, says, I'm going to go out, enough of this dealing with Israel, and, the U.S. is trying to, help, get these two sides together. That's to Obama's credit. And he said, hey, I'm going to go out to the international community and try to gain the benefits of statehood or statehood, whatever. I'm going to go outside this process. Woo. Well, the Israelis are not going to have their security impaired. They're not going to have an outside power come in and say, you have to do this, this, and this, and this, and that. Their security is paramount to them. They've been attacked in 67 and 73, and 68, 73. They've been attacked before. They have legitimate security concerns. The Palestinians have legitimate statehood concerns, which makes this a sticky, ugly mess that the sides are getting up from the table and moving apart and trying to settle this, outside a face-to-face contact. I think that's an ominous thing, and it can only lead to worse things down the road between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I don't like it. Fort Hood has suffered another mass murder in this case, as opposed to the last one, which was terrorism, even though the Obama administration said it wasn't. It was a workplace violence. It was It was not terrorism this time, and this will highlight, soldiers' mental health. Soldiers who have been in the battlefield, soldiers who have been on extended and multiple deployments. This soldier was apparently taking some sleep aid. I believe it's been reported it was taking Ambien, and then he's, what kills himself and 3 other people, wounds, more than a dozen. It's ugly. And then they want to cut the benefits of our soldiers? Hey, come on. You send people to war, you have to take care of them. End of story. Cut some other things. Don't cut that. But this is going to highlight, soldiers' mental health. The Veterans Administration says that, there are 22 suicides or suicide attempts by service members or their family a day. And that number could be low. That's a sad situation when you have that many suicides or attempted suicides by military members and their families a day. Don't cut help going to soldiers and veterans. Don't. Finally, the Obama administration is sounding a trumpet, and the party is on. And they made their 7 million goal, actually 7.1 or 2 million. And look at this headline. healthcare's comeback kid. This is the way the mainstream media, I've been watching all kinds of sources, local, national. You know what they do? They lie by omission. This is my theme about the mainstream media. They're in the tank for Obama. So this headline kind of denotes, oh, the comeback kid, look, oh, we have a campaign issued to thwart all this negative stuff about ObamaCare. Really, you do? Really? You mean lying about keeping your doctor? That's forgiven. Lying about how you won't lose your plan? That's going to be forgiven. Forget about that because you made your goal. Let me tell you, you can go your goal. You can go cram your goal. Oh, and the big lie about, it's going to be, on the average, it's going to be savings of $2,500. No, that's another big fat stinking lie. Now, they missed it by about $5,000. It's more than $2,000 is what the cost increase is. Oh, and then let's not forget about the, bigger deductibles, much bigger, bigger co-pays. Oh, we haven't even got to the portion. They put all this stuff off at exemptions. The employer tax, you're part of if you have an employer health plan, they give that to you. They don't tax you on that. Oh, in the future, as this stink bomb rolls out, they'll be taxing you on what your employer gives you in your health. That's going to be income to you. So you're going to get creamed. You're going to pay more and get taxed for paying more for, so everybody can have, the morning after pill and abortions and sex change operations and all, some free stuff. I have a friend of mine that he didn't want to pay $130 a month. That's too expensive. But he got on Obamacare and paid $30 a month and can't figure out $30 a month. Can't figure out why I'm upset. Why? I said, listen, dude, there's no subsidy tree. Somebody's got to pay for that. I have a 43% increase in the last, 3 years for my health care insurance. I ain't paying no $30 a month. And I am not a smoker. I don't have a pre-existing condition. I've never had a pre-existing condition, and I'm in good health. And most people are finding out, even Democrats. I talked to a Democrat friend of mine. I'm neither Democrat or Republican, but I talked to a Democrat friend of mine. I said, how's that Obamacare going? I got screwed. Yeah. About 85% of the people got creamed, so 15% of the people can get a good deal. But all you're hearing are, there's somebody who had a pre-existing condition that can now get health insurance. Oh, poor people can get health free. Oh, they can get something for free. Really? But they're not talking about the people that, who come on my side whose premiums are 30, 40, 50, 100, 200%. Deductibles, huge, co-pays, much bigger. They're not talking about any of that. Oh, no. Lie by omission. Just omit that. That's not really part of the story. And the 7.2 million number, well, listen, all these lies. They lied as a party. The Democrats got together and lied as a party. I've told you this. So, there's an old legal saying, untruthful in one, untruthful in all. I don't believe a thing they say. Well, let's just talk about the 7 million signups. I don't even know how many people paid. Catherine Sebelius looks like a doofus when she's in front of Congress. How many people paid? I don't know. We don't know that yet. You don't know who paid? I don't know. But let's just talk about how the negative effects of this. The White House said, this negative effects would only be 5% of the population. 300 million people, 5%, 15 million people. 6.2 million plans were canceled. 6.2 million plans were canceled. Not 6.2 million people, plans. People with a husband and a wife and a husband and a couple of kids or 2 or 3. That's how many plans were. So what you signed up 7 million? And some of those, I'm sure, were people who had plans that lost their plans because, the government decided that wasn't good enough because you had to pay for abortions and sex change operations. 15 million people? That's according to the White House. That's how many. That's the negative effect. That's only 5%. 15 million people? You signed up 7 million? The Democrats are delusional that they can go into an election in 2014 and say, hey, we hit our number. We got 7 million people signing up. Everything's forgiven? No, everything's not forgiven. And Kay Hagan in North Carolina, poof, you are gone, girl. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com. Have a nice weekend.